Hello guys and welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you're new here, and today I want to talk about the Slavic girl myth, the Slavic girl legend, the allure that you know, but do you know the lore? Let's talk about this. Okay, so I actually think it's a very important thing to talk about as a Slavic girl myself and address certain things that I personally find really concerning, especially as a Slavic girl living in the West. So here's the thing. There has been a lot of talk in, certain parts of the internet where people have been sort of like praising Slavic beauty and talking about Slavic women in a really positive way, in the way that they are perfect wives, so in the way that they look better or something like that. And I would like to, but listen, first of all, to me, this is an absolute myth, and I would like to talk about how, why I see that so clearly, because I lived both in a Slavic country and I lived in the West. So it's I'm getting both perspective. I'm seeing this a little bit more clearly, I think, at least, compared to the way that I used to see it myself. Only comparing my views to my own previous views. And I would like to talk about this lore a little bit more because I find it really, really, really important, because behind a pretty picture there is a story, and the story is important, not just for people that come from like Slavic cultures, but also for everybody, for honestly all the women in the world. If you are concerned about feminism, then this is really important for you too. So here's the thing. Some people in the West praise Slavic beauty. Some Slavic girls, you might notice, have been branding themselves as Slavic girls in order to kind of capitalize on that. I don't have any problems with that, but they have been sort of pushing that really forward and talking about the Slavic girl beauty secrets and the dieting secrets and all kinds of like beauty hacks and whatnot. But here's the thing. I noticed that some of these Slavic girls, especially the ones who are making content for their own audiences who do not speak English, not everybody, but I noticed a few people do this, talk about how women in the West look badly and how women from, again, Slavic countries look much better because we take care of ourselves better. And I'm going to decode what that means for you. There's this kind of line of thought that women in the West, they don't take care of themselves, and men love to use that rhetoric too. And Slavic women do take care of themselves. First of all, take care of oneself in this context means do beauty procedures. That's what that means. It has nothing to do with taking care of yourself, because these are different things. Taking care of yourself is about hygiene. It's about like showering. It's about washing your hair. It's about like brushing your teeth, doing laundry. This is taking care of yourself. You know what I mean? You don't have to have a nose job to take care of yourself. Do you know what I'm saying? And in this context, it only ever means beauty procedures. It means getting manicures on a regular basis. It means getting some kind of cosmetological procedures, invasive ones too, getting Botox, getting filler, getting your hair dyed, getting your hair done, all of those things, right? The endless lists of procedures. And the two groups of people who I personally noticed talk about this were the Slavic women themselves and also the men in the West, which I found particularly disturbing because they also for some reason seem to think that this is something to be used against other women. Like this is something to weaponize against other women and tell them to like take better care of themselves, which once again has nothing to do. This is just, let's jump back, let's jump straight into this whole lore part, because I'm really concerned about this, and this is really, really, I find it really bothersome. So here's the thing. How did this whole thing start to begin with? I'll try to be quick here. Women from Slavic countries have different history, partially. And it has to do with patriarchy. It has to do with patriarchy that still persists. And a couple of years ago, with the rise of whole like feminine energy coaches and all that kind of stuff, there's been a lot of talk about how, like men are more masculine in the like Slavic countries too, and like the Eastern Europe and all of that kind of stuff, right? Which is just such a bizarre take. If you actually lived in one of those countries, if you actually have experienced, if you are educated, if you are not, if you are able to think outside the box and understand other people's perspective besides your own experience, like even if you had like positive experience personally, you still are able to listen to other people, listen to other women's experiences, understand the bigger picture. So a lot of these countries are very deeply patriarchal. Patriarchy plays a really big role in these countries still to this day. And unfortunately, I would say it's getting worse. Worse because it's not a good thing. It's not a positive thing, not for men, not for women. This is the basics, right? Like only people in power benefit from this. This is not a talk about like feminism and patriarchy overall, but we're talking about the beauty myth here. We're talking about that whole situation, but this is how it started. Women in these societies are, from their very, very young age, are programmed to see themselves as basically inferior to men, to cater to men, to think that, there are more women and fewer men, so there's like competition for men, like women should be competing for men, which sounds like the most unnatural thing in the world. And it's so bizarre, and I find it so deeply disturbing. But this is the programming basically, right? Nowadays, you might have heard there are some like subjects in school, or like proposed programs in certain schools to be teaching girls how to cook and how to be good wives and how to, all of those things. And once again, very, very disturbing. Might sound cute on the surface for some people, not for me, but there's a huge underlying issue, behind that, and it's representative of a much bigger picture and a much bigger problem, and like a bigger set of problems, really. So what comes with that? With that comes misogyny. Obviously, they are kind of coexisting very, very happily. It's really difficult to exist in a patriarchal society without misogyny. It's hard to do that when women are seen as, subspecies of the human race, who are only here to have babies, basically. So, with all of the programming and with all of the, with all the kind of stuff, here comes misogyny. Here comes misogyny, the hate for women, the seeing them as less than, all that kind of stuff. Now, how do you make women be okay with that? How do you make women support the system and back it up? You paint them in a way that they are pretty lovely beings who are feminine and light and delightful and really, really pretty. So, so beautiful. Girls really love hearing that. Women love hearing that. That's not a bad thing on its own, but this is when you see the problem arising when, you are not allowed to step outside of this box. And when you start being punished for stepping outside of this box of being just pretty and delightful and kind and nice and quiet and obedient and, all that kind of stuff, how you should be, like, if you want to be smart, if you want to have a career, if you want to have it all, if you want to do something else with your life, if you want to look some other kind of, if you want to experiment with your looks and do something different, if you want to look more alternative, there are going to be consequences. At the very least, in a form of societal judgment. People will be judging you for tattoos, for piercings, for whatever else, for dyeing your hair, for cutting your hair. The whole thing about like the long hair, so feminine, so beautiful, and this is the way it is. I'm in no way, shape, or form an expert in this area, so I cannot be talking about this in depth and for too long, but it doesn't take an expert to see the basic realities and the basic truth. So, women are basically incentivized and encouraged to take care of themselves, to take care of themselves in this way, to do beauty procedures in order to compete for the male attention. Another thing is that I think lots of Slavic women, if you talk to them, will confirm to you that they do get more positive attention from men in the West than they do from the men in their own countries. Experiences can differ, but still, roughly, this is the case because the men in the Slavic countries are very much used to seeing, beautiful women, and they do not treat them as any special a lot of the times. The whole myth of a super masculine Slavic man is another thing of its own. It's another conversation altogether, which I'm not interested in talking about because that is dark. But once again, that being paired with women not being seen as fully human beings is, if we look at the facts, that is, right? Because obviously lots of men will say that they are absolutely seeing women as, amazing, and of course they are human and all that kind of stuff. But feminism as a concept seen as a very like dark and devious thing, and something that is kind of frowned upon a lot of the times, and seen as women rebelling against men and hatred towards men. It's interesting. But anyways, oh yes, if you want to make any kind of decisions about your fertility, like if you choose to be child-free or something like that, that is very deeply frowned upon. That is very much frowned upon. Sometimes, allegedly. You know what I mean. So yes, from misogyny, from the all the beauty procedures and all of the, encouragement of the women to do the beauty procedures and take care of themselves and be more beautiful and make themselves more pretty and all that kind of stuff, right? Comes a lot of internal misogyny. Once again, hard to have misogyny for too long without having internal misogyny of women turning against other women. Which, once again, is not a problem that is exclusive to the Slavic countries, because that's not true. It's obviously the case everywhere in the world, unfortunately. Very much, big time. But especially in those kind of countries where you are sort of incentivized to be quiet, to be pretty, to be of service, right? And not say your opinions. Just be seen, not heard, that kind of stuff. Fully, by the way. A lot of women develop internal misogyny, unfortunately, and this is one of the most painful things to witness as well. So, and here comes the, shadow part big time. I will attach a video that I made about shadow work in the description box below. Check it out. It's very interesting. It's very insightful. And I want to talk about shadow work in the future as well in more detail because I find this topic fascinating. But here's the thing. This is exactly how that happens. Women judging other women for their looks is exactly that. Because you cannot even imagine being this free. You cannot even imagine going outside without makeup. You cannot even imagine not getting your hair done so frequently and not doing so much beauty maintenance. Again, I want to be transparent with my language. Taking care of yourself, basically meaning beauty maintenance. You cannot even imagine someone else seeing you in your more natural state. A lot of the time. I'm generalizing here, obviously, right? But that's kind of the gist of it. Same comes to, judging other women for not maintaining the same kind of looks and not having the same kind of standards for the beauty procedures and all, all that stuff. Because the women in the West have been more free in those regards. And this is one thing that I hear from a lot of like Slavic women immigrating to the West, and talking about how women are a lot more free, they're a lot more relaxed, they're just a lot more chill, they are a lot more free, there's a lot more personal freedom, you know, which, which is true, absolutely. And I do think that it's important to mention that. So it is a lot about kind of like stepping out outside of your own box that you put yourself into, the pretty box, and unlearning all of those things about yourself, that you're so much more than just like pretty and all that kind of stuff, right? Still, there is so much more to beauty than the beauty maintenance, the hair extensions, the makeup, all of this stuff that you do to be perfect. But one of the phrases that I heard a few years ago at this point, and I really, really loved, is that perfection is dehumanization, because no human is perfect ever. Like, it is impossible for anybody to be perfect. And like, what is perfect? You can't even define that. So, perfection is dehumanization. And this is exactly what is demanded from women a lot of the times, everywhere, really. It's a global problem. And we know that. But yes, if you feel like any of the things that I talked about here resonate with you, try doing shadow work. If you feel like either women are less than because they don't take care of themselves the same kind of way as you do, and don't do so many procedures, and then don't maintain a glamorous look at all times or as much as possible, you have a lot to unpack, and there's like a lot of work to do, which I don't think that my video is going to help much with that, because it's just like, it's very, very deeply ingrained in there, and it's so deeply cultural as well. And feeling superior because you do the all this beauty maintenance, feeling like you are better than other women because you put on makeup and you do your hair and you do all these other things. It's so sad, and it's so weird. It's just so weird and so bizarre. You can do whatever you want with your looks, you can do whatever you want, you can do anything you want with your looks. You can choose to do whatever you want with your body, with your hair, with your face, do any kind of procedures you feel like you need to do. But this will always be your personal decision. You should always understand that there is more to you and there is more to other people as well. So, and also, of course, I do have to mention that like these specific women, this like Slavic doll archetype, what you see online is that this is just a group of people. This is not representative of all Slavic women at all. These are just women who are online, who are presenting their beauty online. And even if we talk about like women in progressive cities in Slavic countries, a lot of them are feminists, a lot of them are working women, a lot of them are, still beautiful, and they do things to maintain their beauty, but they go to therapy, they do other things, and they are not like living online the same way as those other girls do. So you know what I mean? Like, you would not be seeing those women, and you would not be able to compare, I guess. So I really don't like when people generalize like this and like fetishize people, basically, is what I'm trying to say. So yes, anyways, here are my 2 cents on the Slavic beauty lore. I hope you like this video. If you have any thoughts, if you have any comments, please share them in the comment section down below. I would be actually really interested to see what you think about this, whether or not you're from a Slavic country or from the West, doesn't really matter, from anywhere else, obviously. Please let me know what you think about this. If you have any other topic suggestions, please leave them in the comments down below as well. And please like this video, subscribe to my channel, you guys. I thank you for watching this video. I really appreciate you being here on this channel. Please leave me any comment to support my channel. I would really, really appreciate that. And thank you very much once again. I will see you in the next one.